All right. Hey, welcome back to our birds unit here. And today, the main idea, or the only idea, I guess, today are feathers. All right. Feathers are a telltale characteristic of birds and something we're all familiar with, but maybe just haven't dove very deep into to figure out what exactly is a feather and what's all going on there. Okay. So that's going to be kind of our goal today is look at those. Um, wish we had some. This is one of those days I wish we had um, physical interaction because there's just holding a feather and looking at it and checking it out underneath the microscope is going to be an experience worthwhile. So hopefully next time you see a feather, you'll pick it up and check it out a little bit closer here. But feathers, they consist mainly of beta keratin, some of the same things that you would find in your fingernails, same kind of thing, protein that you'd find in scales. Remember, birds are fairly closely descended from dinosaurs, and so those feathers are kind of more just adapted, evolved scales in a way there. So those are feathers. Their functions, they provide a variety of functions here. One of the ones, first ones is insulation. Think about the same reason that mammals have hair, other than some of us, but other mammals have hair in order to provide insulation from the cold. Um, Feathers provide this same function for birds. An obvious one is power for flight. And so if you took all the feathers off the wing of a bird, no bird on Earth would be able to fly. So they're crucial there. And then coloration is big. Birds have a variety of different colors. Some are for camouflage, but a vast majority are for communication, right? Excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Sorry about that. Are for communication. So I think attracting a mate is a lot of times what colors are for there. So let's dive in to feather anatomy here. Do I have a picture? Picture's on a different slide. Okay, so feather anatomy. Um, they have a long central shaft. And I thought I had a feather with me here, but I'm guessing I don't today. Shoot. That's okay. I'll just have to pop back and forth between the two. So every feather has this long central shaft. Think about like a quill for writing in the old days. There it is. The base is the calamus, the pointy end. That's going to be what anchors into the skin. And then the rest is the rachis going out. Um, the veins of the feathers, or the actual like feather part, they're the lateral branches or barbs. So those are the main part. And then they have these little barbules. So they kind of have these, it's a lot like Velcro. All right. So it's like Velcro that the two parts of the feather hook in together. And so it creates a solid plane, but it is flexible. All right. And that's gonna be big for birds. So let's take a look at those. Here are those parts we talked about. There's the calamus, the rachis going up, the main shaft of the feather. We have the veins going out, and then we have these hooks and barbules, like I said, that are hooking in with the ones next to it, creating this uniform plane. Next feather you see, pick it up, and you'll be able to lightly pull on one side, and that whole side of the feather will shift with it because they're all locked in. Now, if you pull too hard, it'll pull apart, and the bird has to put that back together again. So anyway, there's some feather anatomy. Here's a nice zoomed in look at those hooks and barbules. You see how they overlap, and it's like I said, it's a zipper or a Velcro that they hook into each other there as they're going down. Types of feathers. Okay, so not all feathers are the same, and not all feathers have the same purpose. Our first one here, you see a couple pictures of it, are down feathers. You might have a down comforter at home or a down jacket. Those names come from the kind of feathers that are in there used for insulation. So they're these really wispy, fuzzy looking feathers. There's not any barbules that are hooking into each other. The goal for these is to trap a lot of air close to the bird. All right, so you're going to see these on the chest of the bird underneath that exterior plumage, and they're provide insulation, and humans use them for insulation too. Like I said, we'll have down comforters that are just full of down feathers that make great insulators for different things. So these are not going to be helping out in flight. They're going to be keeping the bird warm. Step 2, contour feathers. All right, contour feathers cover the head and body and provide coloration. So the main coloration of the bird are contour feathers. They also help kind of streamline the bird's body. Remember, it's full of these down feathers, and that's not very aerodynamic. And so we have contour feathers over the top of them. You can see that they have kind of some downy looking barbs toward the base, but then towards the tip, we see the coloration, we see the interlocking veins and all that stuff. So number 2 is contour feathers. 3, flight feathers. All right, so flight feathers, these are the big ones. They're the only ones that are going to be involved in lift. All right, so they're going to be on the wings of birds, and they're going to provide lift for takeoff. They're going to be providing those surfaces for gliding, etc. They have an asymmetrical leading edge, and so it's not easy to see, but when we talk about that vein going down the middle, the leading edge of that is going to be very tight and shorter. You can see some of these down here, and then the trailing edge is wider and broader, creating more of a plane or a surface for them to fly on. So here's a look at that leading edge that you'd see here with the colors on it. So it's like I said, it's a little tighter, a little more condensed, and then this big plane behind there to help generate some lift. And then 4, tail feathers. All right, birds use their tail feathers kind of like a rudder almost on a plane, so it helps generate lift and control their position in the air. And they're a little bit more symmetrical. They're also going to be used a little bit for coloration. Think about peacocks have very colorful tail feathers there. Biggest way you can tell a difference is they tend to be much more symmetrical than those flight feathers do. Oops, sorry. Feathers themselves are covered in oil that help keep them waterproof. Because they're little tiny hairs, they need to be a very specific shape and rigidity so that the birds can fly. And so they're covered in this oil, and oftentimes you'll see birds doing this in particular. Birds that are aquatic have to do this a lot, and it's called preening. So preening is a behavior that places oil on feathers. So they have a gland on their snout that produces oil, and so they can oil their feathers with it. And it repairs broken links on veins. So we've all seen birds that sit and pick. It's almost like they're picking at themselves there. What they're doing is they're preening. They're hooking the feathers back together. They're reapplying oil to them to keep them waterproof there. Not all birds have this oil. Cormorants are ones that do not. There's others that don't as well, but that's a look there. So those were kind of some basics for feathers. There are some birds out there that have very well adapted feathers for a single particular purpose. All right, the first one, the desert sand grouse, it has a bunch of chest feathers that their whole purpose is to absorb water. So these birds live in deserts. They fly to ponds, and they'll absorb water with their chest. They'll fly back home, and then their young will kind of milk the water off the bird's chest there. So they have some specialized feathers for doing that. The nightjar here has these 2 just super goofy feathers coming off its wings. It does not help it fly at all, but it really helps attract a mate. All right. We'll talk about that if we have time in the class. There's a weird phenomena in the animal kingdom, in particular with birds. This idea that this is not a advantageous trait. So it is more attractive to females because, oh, hey, this bird can live and be healthy with this disadvantaged trait. We'll talk about what that means later on. Here's some plumes that are obviously also used to attract mates. And then also we have some feathers that behave a little bit more like whiskers for certain species. So there is our, oh, yeah, good wing shape. We won't be doing some wing shape stuff. That's okay. We'll skip the wing stuff for now. There's a ton on wings and their shapes, and if we were together we'd be building paper airplanes for a couple days based on that, but that's okay. Hey, that is good for the our feather day here. Make sure you check out the assignment for the day and have a good one.